The Russians have reduced their activity in Pokrovsk, decreased the number of movements in the city, and are waiting for reinforcements from their main forces. This was reported by the 7th Rapid Response Corps of the Air Assault Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In Pokrovsk, where the situation changes every hour, all Ukrainian and international media are now focused on it. According to military analysts, there is no front line at all. The General Staff states that the city is not encircled, but street fighting continues there constantly, and enemy positions can alternate with Ukrainian ones from house to house. This is reported by the Institute for the Study of War. The Russians are taking advantage of poor weather conditions to quickly move into the city using buggies or motorcycles. This is how they deliver supplies and reinforcements to advance further into Pokrovsk. Our soldiers are fighting back, and not only on the ground. In the video from the 5th Separate Assault Brigade, you can see how a Ukrainian drone near Pokrovsk shoots down a state-of-the-art Russian Zala drone, which was carrying 11 kilograms of explosives. And the Institute for the Study of War has published geolocated footage indicating the advance of the occupiers in the area of the village of Balagan. This is to the east of Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad. There have also been breakthroughs in the defenses near Novo-Pavlivka. This is to the south of Pokrovsk, as well as the capture of part of the mining complex north of Udakhna. In total, just in this direction, the defense forces repelled 58 assaults in one day, which is a third of all clashes along the entire front line. This Russian offensive is being actively covered by foreign media. They agree that Moscow sees Pokrovsk as the last major obstacle preventing the occupiers from advancing towards Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, the only large cities in Donetsk region still under Ukrainian control and which the Kremlin has long claimed. They spent almost half a year, 165 days, engaged in round-the-clock fighting at their positions. We're talking about the infantrymen of the 115th Territorial Defense Brigade, which, in the Zaporizhzhia direction, is subordinated to the 118th Brigade. All this time, the soldiers were under constant shelling, without proper sleep or any chance for rotation. The two men repelled enemy assaults, drone attacks, armored vehicles, and even survived attacks with gas shells. The heroes are already home. Ahead of them are treatment and a long-awaited vacation. TSN correspondent Daria Nazarova met with one of the soldiers and heard this incredible story firsthand.
A tired look, dirty uniform, and an unkempt beard. The photo, taken right after leaving the positions, makes it hard to recognize Mr. Alexander. He spent 165 days on the front line with his comrade.
Basically the first or second week, and then everything just blends into one day. And that day just stretched out to 165.
Now the soldier is undergoing treatment and rehabilitation, and he talks about the war in August 2024. Since then, he says, he started going to the front line. At first, rotations were carried out every week, but then it became difficult to leave the position. Sometimes it was simply impossible.
A swarm of drones. Shelling, the impossibility of getting out.
While he and his comrade held the front line, they joked that they got provisions and medicines by mail from the armed forces of Ukraine, delivered by drones.
Usually there are medicines in the packages. There's always something included, either for preventing constipation or some supportive vitamins. Plus we carry our own supplies with us, but still there are chronic illnesses to deal with.
Getting the package delivered isn't the biggest problem. The real challenge is picking it up, an errand that could cost you your life.
In 10 to 15 minutes, a drone with explosives might arrive, and then the package is gone, or the position is gone. Sometimes you have to choose between staying alive or getting something to eat. Sometimes we chose to stay alive and only ate properly later at home.
Usually, he says, there was enough food. The essentials were always there. Sometimes we'd ask our comrades to bring us something tasty.
We wanted either Coca-Cola or Pepsi. They brought it. There was Pepsi, a piece of meat, some salo, an onion, garlic, sausage, maybe some canned food.
For half a year without mobile phones, messages home were relayed through comrades over the radio. Alexander recalls how, after leaving their positions, he called his wife for the first time.
She just cried. But then, thank God, she said that wasn't all.
He says it's tough on the front line, mostly physically. Every day, small Russian groups try to sneak behind our positions.
It was morning, there was fog. You were given the important and specific task to carefully check out and thoroughly investigate the dugouts that were located nearby in our immediate vicinity. And together, almost for the very first time, we saw with our own eyes that someone was actually sitting there inside the dugout. So, after a brief discussion, we decided to leave him there for the time being. We fired a bit in that direction, aiming to scare or neutralize any threat, and then we threw a grenade to ensure there was no further danger. After that, we finished the job with a drone, making sure the area was completely secure and that there were no remaining threats.
The last battle before leaving was fought by the men on October 20th. During the Russian mechanized assault, they killed 3 invaders who had broken into their trenches. They warned the drone operators about the landing of Russian paratroopers nearby.
And near us, literally, I think about 15 meters away, there were burrows. They jumped in and crawled into those burrows. Thanks to FPV drones and skids, they're not there anymore. At night, you can hear the radio going off. It happens? Yes. Well, someone coughs.
During those battles, Alexander Lixienko, the husband's comrade, was wounded in the arm.
2 large fragments like that, and I don't remember how many small ones there were. They couldn't be removed with a magnet, I think, and they did take them out because otherwise they'd have to cut the hand.
Did he walk on his own or did he need your help?
Thank God on his own. I wouldn't have even been able to carry him. We were a bit exhausted, having spent so much time there.
More than 30 times they tried to evacuate the men from the position, but because of the overwhelming number of enemy drones, it wasn't possible. That's why, the hero says, they waited for the right weather when Russian FPV drones wouldn't be able to fly. They walked 12 kilometers on foot to the evacuation point. Now the men are home, and ahead of them is a long-awaited vacation. Daria Nazarova, Andriy Kupovka, Zaporizhzhia, TSN 1+1, Marathon United News.
Farewell on the Maidan. Today in the capital, Volodymyr Svitnenko was laid to rest, a warrior with the call sign Healer and the brother of our colleague, TSN journalist Dmytro Svitnenko. Volodymyr joined the armed forces in 2023, starting as an ordinary sailor and rising to become one of the best UAV pilots. In 2 years of service, he fought in battles in Krynki, Korakov, Marinka and Krasnohorivka. Healer was killed in the rear. During the awarding of the best soldiers, the Russians struck the armed forces building in Dnipropetrovsk region with a ballistic missile. It is confirmed that at least 2 soldiers were killed. The State Bureau of Investigation reported that an investigation has already been launched. The investigation in particular is checking whether the safety requirements for personnel were observed during the air raid alert and whether proper shelter was organized for the soldiers. Volodymyr Svitlenko was 43 years old. He is survived by his wife and 2 sons, the younger of whom is not even a year old yet. The warrior was buried in the Alley of Heroes at the Berkovetsky Cemetery.
During the war, there have been tactless people. A couple of times I heard people say to me, how could I take a break? Let my husband go to get a visa. I would have done anything to keep him from leaving. I am against any kind of manipulation. I am against any... Later, after a fit, he told me, you know, this is probably the best work I've ever done in my life. As frightening as it may sound, the point is that he truly found his mission.